All right, my name is Richard Stanboli, and this is the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha Racing R1, current champion in MotoAmerica. And we're going to talk about the motorcycle today. So here's the Yamaha R1 that we're talking about. And the first thing that's very noticeable are these brakes. These are Brembo's latest World Superbike calipers, and they have finned, and they also have a device in them called a booster, which makes it easier for the rider. It's like a power brake almost. They don't have to use as much pressure on the lever, so it's a little easier for them. Also, these are brake rotors from braking, which are specially made for this particular motorcycle. We also have various sensors, like the wheel speed sensors here, which help with the traction control, tells the electronic ECU how to manage the power. Going further back, we have, you'll see some of the controls here. We have all the buttons over here, which control the dash and how the rider can select the different strategies that we may put into it. We have electronic specialists on the team that comes up with a number of different strategies, and they can pick which strategy they want to use. Over here also is a rear brake, which assists in the engine braking as they're going into the corner. So if the engine braking strategy is changing, the tire is changing, they can use the rear brake to help them for the corner entry. And then over here we have a triple clamp, what we call a triple clamp. In some countries they call it a yoke, and it's adjustable front to back, as well as the steering head here is adjustable for rake. So we can change the geometry of the front and make it wheelie less, turn better, brake harder, all the different things to maximize the efficiency of the motorcycle around the racetrack. Okay, so as you notice here on the side of the machine is a steering stabilizer, and what that does is it dampens some of the side action. So when the rider's riding, they don't get a nasty head shake that's uncontrollable. And you can also change the stiffness of the stabilizer by changing this clicker on the over here, which makes it stiff or soft. Our guys don't like to run a bunch of stabilizer. They usually leave it fairly open. So working our way back, we have the Yamaha R1 engine, which is an odd fire 1000cc engine. And we do extensive amount of work on it to be able to keep up with all of our competition. Looking at this over here, this is what they call an auto shifter. This one has an up and down feature. So when you push down, it automatically shifts up, and when you pull back, it automatically shifts down based on the strategies we put in the bike. And so this is pretty much every superbike needs one of these things. And then you have our normal foot controls, and this is a swing arm that we make at our shop. And what that does, it swings up and down, and there's a linkage system in here, and we can adjust the linkage system to change the character of the suspension along with the shock that's from Öhlins. So working our way back the swing arm, like I said, this swing arm goes up and down. It's made out of a special aluminum. It's all billet, but it's fairly light. And we machine the swing arm in such a way where when the bike's on the side of the tire, it has a little bit of flex to give the rider feel, and then when it's vertical, it's got enough stiffness to make the suspension work. And also with this fuel tank, as you notice, the sump of the fuel tank is way back here down below the rider. Most of the mass of the fuel is carried under the rider to affect the balance of the bike. And it's so important on superbikes, the pitching front to rear and the balance. And we also achieve that with a wheelbase. So you can see here in the slots, for MotoAmerica, we're pretty long in the slots because we have a big hill over here. We want to not wheelie so much, so we'll push it back all the way. And also gives it a little better feel for the big carousel turn. So coming around the back here. Yeah, so this exhaust system here is a special exhaust made specifically for this Yamaha R1 from Akrapovic. Akrapovic pretty much is the pipe to have in MotoGP, World Superbike, and MotoAmerica. It is the premier pipe for racing. And going forward, in here we have a shooter clutch. And what that does, it has a anti-drag system in the clutch, which stops chatter and allows the clutch to slip on deceleration so you don't get too much. If you're able to lock the clutch up, the bike will bounce and chatter so bad the rider can't control it. So it's very important to have a proper clutch. This is a neutral lockout device. So when it's in a down position, the rider can find neutral when he comes in the pits. He can shift up and find neutral. But when he puts it in the up position, we call it the thumbs up position. When he goes in the racetrack, it cannot come back to neutral. It stays in first. So there's no possibility of him catching a false neutral. It's a pretty good safety feature that MotoAmerica is allowed to use this last couple of years. And also over here on this side are some more buttons that we can control the dash, display, pit limiter, and all the different things that we do on the racetracks. These tires here, as you can see, are grooved. We don't normally race with these types of tires in the dry. These are what we call our roller tires. We're always on the bike. We roll the bike off on the truck with it. But also, if it were to rain, these are the tires of choice. They shed away the water and you're able to race in the rain fairly safely. And we think you're just as safe in the rain as you are in the dry, as long as there's enough racetrack to fall down in if you had to. But if you look at all the record of people falling, there's usually more fallers in the dry than there are in the rain. People don't understand that, but racing in the rain is fairly safe. Here we have our download cable. So every time we come back in the pits, the mechanics will plug in the motorcycle, and our data guy is able to pull the data down. Also, what's unique with our motorcycle, probably still done in the world level, is that we run our power in here, so we can, whenever we plug in, we're charging the battery also. So we're able to keep the bike on all day long, and it trickle charges the bike and it won't ever die. What we do with this cable is we pull the data off the motorcycle. It records from the various sensors, like the front suspension sensor, the wheel speed sensor, all the strategies in the engine, the RPM, and he's able to see that graphically, and the rider can say, hey, I'm slowing down too much, or the bike's not slowing down enough in this particular corner, or it's wheeling too much or too little, and then our data engineer is able to program in what he wants, and along with all the controls he has on the buttons, and he can send that very fast on Ethernet speed, and boom, he's back on the racetrack and with almost a whole new motorcycle. This is your look at the Yamaha R1 Superbike with the #1 plate, of course.